fellow Nigerians, I salute you. How is year 2025 going for you? And how are you doing today? It's been quite a while since I came up live as the convener, New Nigeria Agenda. I remember vividly the last time we were here was in December 2024. And here we are, middle of February, year 2025. A lot has happened. So many issues have come up this year alone. And to be honest, I have lost track of so many. And so I won't be dwelling so much on the issues, but what I'll be discussing right now will be of so much help to us in dealing with most, if not all, of the issues. To start with, those who take the noble task of analyzing public policies, evaluating political office holders, actors, players in the system, I have a word for you. It's a noble task you are doing, but then whenever you must come up to assess and speak about a public policy or a public figure, comment before you criticize. What did I say? Comment before you criticize. You can't say that because you didn't vote for Bola Ahmed Tinubu as your president, so as far as you are concerned, there's nothing good he has done since coming on board as president. That's not correct. That's not right. What about the determination of the federal government under Bola Ahmed Tinubu to implement Supreme Court judgments on local government autonomy? Okay, and I understand that judgment was actually obtained by the federal government. How about that? Is it not something commendable? Okay. So, it's good that even before you go on saying whatever you feel are the lapses, the pitfalls of the current administration, federal or state, acknowledge the good things first. Acknowledge the good things first. It's good for all of us. Everybody loves that. Yes, it's not just the political actors. Even you as a person that is analyzing, you like it when you do something good and it is acknowledged. Don't deliberately ignore what is good just because of political differences, tribal differences, religious differences, and so on. Commend before you criticize. Okay? Yes, you may have issue with the fuel subsidy removal. I personally believe it was and it is a right policy with wrong approach. I still believe that. Okay? In fact, the government mismanaged the fuel subsidy removal and the entire wahala that followed it. That I can say again and again, right? But then, first things first, commend what is good. Then you can go on to talk about things like fuel subsidy removal, what should have been done right and was not done, and how things can be done right now. Okay, we can come to that, but start with whatever the government has put in place that is good. The tax reforms. Yes, there may be one or two clauses in it that are not entirely fair, but on the whole, some experts believe is good, and we can take time to analyze too, on our own too, okay? But whatever we find good in that policy, especially the area of producing and then consuming according to how you produce, that is a principle most of us supported even when we chose our candidates in the last election. So commend whatever is good in these policies, whatever is good in the administration, before you go to what you and me know to be the issues. Okay? And that's how to build a nation, honestly speaking. Yes. When you are done with that, you can now go to the issues. Comment before you criticize. Then you can go to the issues. Okay? What about the revenue? The total lack of fiscal transparency and accountability. Okay? The government, or more specifically the president, campaigned on fuel subsidy removal, just like the other presidential candidates did too. Okay? Of course, we know that they are not the same personalities. They would have done things differently if they were there. Whether what they would have done is the best is a matter of conjecture now. Okay? But he promised a lot of money will be saved if fuel subsidy is removed. So the question still is, how much has been saved from fuel subsidy so far? How much? I still don't know the exact amount of money that has been saved from fuel subsidy removal. And then what has been done with the money saved from fuel subsidy removal? What has been done with that money? If you say students' loan, how much has been voted from the money? Okay, let's know the amount of money first, and how much you took from it and voted for students' loan. And how many students have benefited? Don't just tell us so amount is spent on students' loan. How many students have benefited? How are you sharing the money? How many students received 2 million naira? How many received 5 million? How many received 10 million? It's very important. It's very important. Accountability starts from there, and it's very necessary, because without that, our common wealth has become private wealth, and you can't imagine the nature of such a crime. It's one of the most impeachable major crimes and offenses anyone can ever commit in office. So Nigerians actually deserve to know it's common wealth, not private wealth. Okay, how much money has come in? How much have you taken from this to do student loan, for instance? And if you have done something in that area, how many students have benefited? In what category? How many receive how much? Okay. And then, of course, oil revenue. How much came in? What are you doing with the oil revenue? Who and who are beneficiaries? What and what are the projects? Okay. So it's very important too. But remember, like I said before, we get to ask questions or even criticize, whichever is the case. Comment first. There must be good things that are happening too. And when you appreciate good things, you are asking for more, right? Then the second and final thing I will talk about, and this is where my emphasis is the most. Let's assess ourselves as citizens, as a people. What are we doing, or are we sleeping? Because just like I have said here, and I'm still saying, if we don't hold government officials, president, the governor, the senators, if we don't hold them accountable, things will never get better for us. And yes, we'll be making the best of genuine efforts, but we will not be seeing anything tangible from them. Because like it or not, public policy affects every aspect of our lives. Okay? So we should hold them accountable. We should do our part as citizens, even before we ask the government to come in and do its part. Are we doing our part as citizens? That is the question. That's the fundamental question here that I'm dwelling on. Are we doing our part as citizens? I have come here often talking about the strategies that can make us influential and impactful, in charge, in control of our national affairs. Okay? Talk of the recall of elected representatives who have failed, who are incompetent, or who are occupying the seat illegally because of maneuvers in the political system. How many of them have we recalled to show that we are not being represented, or we are being misrepresented? How many of them have we recalled? How many issues? Like I said, so much, a lot has happened in this space that have not come up here. A lot has happened. How many of these issues do we bring into the public arena? Or do we still prefer to copy useless jokes, recycle them, post, make videos of them again, post over and over on social media? Okay? You have Nigerians now so busy, can I say so busy or so idle, that they create jokes about stealing food. You know, even the content itself is not appropriate. About stealing, you make a virtue of those things. Someone is cooking or someone keeps food, you find a way to go and steal it. And the person also has nothing doing, so he stresses himself trying to find who stole his food and all of that. How is that serving our country? How is that helping us? How is that delivering value for us in the long run? Meanwhile, there are so many issues affecting us as a people. And when I say issues, they're not just coming from the angle of government. Among us, the people, among us, the citizens. And so, let's be looking at our part as citizens and how we treat one another. How citizens treat their fellow citizens. Or if I may put it, how one oppressed fellow treats another oppressed fellow. Did I put it correctly? How one oppressed fellow oppresses another oppressed fellow. Okay? We keep hearing bizarre stories every day. Someone killed a girlfriend. Whatever circumstance that was, we don't know. The details are sketchy. But what we do know is that a heinous crime was committed. An innocent girl, because based on criminal law, she has not done anything wrong. Okay? An innocent lady killed in her boyfriend's house by the boyfriend himself. Butchered like bushmeat, like market meat. And this story is in the public domain. It is somewhere between Abuja and Nasarawa State that this incident happened. How many of us still remember that incident? I bet most of us have forgotten. As though justice has been served. Okay? As though justice has been served. We have moved on to useless jokes and comedies on social media. and other things that absolutely make no sense. So that's our part as citizens. And it's when we evaluate ourselves as citizens that we can then say, okay, do we really deserve what we are getting in this country? Or we ourselves need to do better? But we need to assess our own role. What are we doing? You can decide to take an issue. You can take the issue of that lady that was butchered in her boyfriend's house. Make sure that you post her post. Let's know the stage where justice is being sought and also given in that case. Okay, you can also take the issue of Leah Shaibu. That issue comes up scantily now. Maybe after a year or so, you will hear someone mention it, or someone will post an image of her. No concrete actions by the citizens themselves. Okay? Sometimes it's like we are assuring ourselves that no, this predicament doesn't concern me. It's for a certain group of Nigerians. Let me assure you, a worse experience may befall you. A worse fate may befall you and me if we continue that way. If we continue with that I don't care attitude, it doesn't directly affect me. No problem. That is how the system absorbs and builds in injustice. And then things get worse. And God have mercy on you. It may be at the worst point that that system of injustice turns and bites you and consumes you. And then maybe the rest of us who are still ignorant, who are still indifferent and so on, we may still come up and say, okay, it happened to him, it will likely not happen to me. It's serious. This is where we are as a country. And we certainly can do better. So in summary, my people, for those of us that assess public policy and public figures, comment before you criticize. There must be something to commend, and then after that, we can also find something to criticize. Secondly, let us assess our part as citizens. Are we doing our part? And how are we supposed to oppress people treating one another? It is from these that we know whether we are doing our part, and then we should hold government to accountable. Of course, we should hold government accountable. But more importantly, we should hold one another accountable. Okay, I will end this with a story. This January, I was coming back from a New Year celebration with my family. So I went to the government-owned transport park, and I was delayed. So many people were delayed there. Tickets were not issued. Some of us stayed up to 4 hours, some 5, others 6, 7, and so on. So at a point I got agitated and I started voicing it out. I was saying things like I could make a good content out of this situation and post to social media. It's possible even the governor doesn't know what is going on here. Okay? And then those village people that are joining us at the park to travel to Makurdi, they don't know where the government house is. The closest they have gotten to the government house is the management of that transport company. So based on their good or bad experience at that park, that's how they will conclude that this government is good or bad. Okay? It's as simple as that. Okay? And before I know it, the manager himself that was inaccessible all along, he came by. In fact, he came to me directly. Okay, he was seeing how he can arrange a vehicle for me. And I was like, yes, I really do want to go. But what about the other person? He said, arrangements are being made for them too. I said, fine and good. Okay, but imagine I didn't speak up. Okay, I told them, in fact, I told even my co-passengers there, at a small place like this, you can't voice out a problem. What are you afraid of? And How is that fear going to preserve you now? Because some of you will fear and still face worse predicaments. I told them, okay? And I could see the relief in some of them because it's like they needed to hear something from someone. And I was handed with the kind of message they also needed to hear. I came back in the night. I arrived Makurdi around 10 p.m. A journey that was supposed to start by 3 p.m. and make it here to Makurdi by latest 6 p.m. I ended up arriving around 10 p.m. to the glory of God in any case. Okay? As God will have it again, one of the persons who was there at the park recognized me in the market, and how happy he was to greet me. And he said, have I forgotten? I said, okay, please remind me. He said, he was there at the park with me when I was voicing out the concerns of everybody. Okay? Yes, he's a meat seller, and anytime I go to the market, I'm to get meat. Even though I pay for it, it's like he's literally giving it away. Okay? In thankful appreciation. So, we need to hold one another accountable too. It's not about those people in government house alone. Start wherever you are, even in your schools, markets, organizations, wherever. Okay? Some people don't speak out. Workers don't speak out. If you go to many federal parastatals today, the management is either sitting on some allowances or arrears belonging to some workers. You don't hear them speak out because they are afraid, oh, the next thing they will start victimizing me. In any case, they are being victimized. Okay? The fact that you are afraid of the devil doesn't make the devil to have a rethink and say, okay, let me reduce the level of torment I'm giving to him. No, he will increase it the more. Okay? And that applies to the entire system, from the political office holders down to management of various organizations, down to the middle level officers in charge at transport parks and so on. Okay? So we need to hold ourselves accountable for things to start changing, for us to see a positive difference. In fact, I titled this message, Positive Change of Attitude for Positive Change of Circumstances. It is when we wake up and do our part that we'll also see the change we desire and pray for. Thanks for your attention, and I hope to catch up with you pretty soon. I hope, more importantly, to see this message bearing fruits. Let us think about it. Let us talk about it. And let us do something about it. Nigeria will be better for all of us. As we get better, so Nigeria will get better too. Thank you and take care. See you again.